Welcome to ComposersCape, Episode 2. Yes! My name is Jess Hendricks, and today I'm going to talk a bit about a piece of music I'm working on. It's conceived as a suite of themes that are based on kind of the Batman universe. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's been rattling around in my brain, and I finally started working on it. So it's going to kind of be put together like a soundtrack for a movie that doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and get into that now. So that was a sample of the Bat, titled to be determined. I usually come up with those last. I knew that this movement would be, or this track, or whatever you want to call it, would be the Batman track. So it's the first one I wrote. So themes in it will be used in other movements. It starts. What you heard was the beginning, which is kind of this atmospheric, dark idea representing Gotham City. And then I also used a bit of an effect inspired by some of Tom Holkenberg's music in Batman v Superman for kind of the fluttering strings. And actually, that's how I started. When I started this track, I started with the idea of a soundscape before I came up with any melody or harmony. So I started off with this in just the strings right here. This kind of thing. It's kind of a mix of sounds. You have the tremolo and the cello and the basses, and then the high strings, the viola, the violins are doing this kind of thing here. Hold on, let's do this. Which is really neat. And that was the part kind of inspired by Tom Holkenberg. And then I start so many tracks off that way that I decided to start it right away with the percussion instead of just having something that starts off really kind of low. I add the percussion on top of that. You get this kind of thing. And that is using the Zimmer percussion mostly. I think I used all Zimmer percussion. Also, I snuck some harp in there, but it's not something really. It's just kind of a layer of sound. It just adds to it a bit, and that is probably more inspired by Danny Elfman. He used. I don't know if he still uses the harp as much, but You have the harp here, just doing these low notes because low notes on harp sound cool. And that very subtly adds to the whole thing there. If you hear it together. Maybe you won't be able to hear the harp. Okay, so then the fun part, as I do these things, I write the strings first, and then I added the percussion next, and then after that is when I throw in the brass, and the brass is mainly in this whole thing is just kind of adding pads, kind of like swells and more atmosphere. And then the synthesizers are what make it sound, what set it apart. So it doesn't just sound like something for orchestra. It's kind of more of a film score vibe to it. You hear all the synthesizers doing all this type of thing. I'll actually spend large amounts of time making sounds for these synthesizers. Okay, so I don't remember opening that. So I really try to divide these in, put them in, they call them track stacks. So now you see I got my 4 parts here. It's easier to see if you open them though. Let's just open the strings and the brass because that really delineates the individual sections. So after this intro, then I want to kind of start to introduce some thematic material. And again, it's still keep it very simple at this point. So what I'm doing there is I'm kind of slowly building to a melodic thing. You hear fragments of it. Then I go back to another section, or I go to the next section, which has a lot of the strings doing fast bowings, more on that kind of bat fluttering sound effect that I think kind of just says to me Batman. And then I like to wrap things. I love bookends, like when a movie has a distinct like line of dialogue at the beginning of the movie, then in the big climax, someone says that dialogue again in a way that is in different context. But I love that type of thing. So I always come back. I love a round form, an ABA type form. So eventually this comes back around, and I round out the theme more in kind of a more upbeat, well, not upbeat, it's the same tempo. Here is the original theme, but it's in a different key. And the melodic theme will come in more prominently. And lastly, since I didn't want to have a definitive ending, because this is part of a suite, there's going to be other movements, then I go back to the stuff from the beginning, the kind of Gotham sounding music. This I need to hit record. Let's undo that. Jeez, I don't have any idea what that recorded. So in the end, it just kind of leaves you hanging. And so that's a very brief synopsis of my composition. And I still have several tracks to write on this. I kind of do, because it's, just a project for myself and my SoundCloud and whatnot. I kind of work on it in between things whenever I have inspiration. I don't even know which one I'm going to do next. I'm going back and forth between like a Catwoman theme or something like that, probably just to contrast what I've already done. And then I'm kind of like going to have it interspersed with smaller like interludes that might combine previous themes or even introduce new ones in a fragmented way. So some composers will plan that and outline that all out, and usually I'll get some stuff tracked and then outline the larger structure. To close out the show, I figure I'll play the entire Batman track for you, as yet untitled. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.